This is day 13 in my 6-mark challenge for AQA GCSE Science. In the run-up to the exams, Monday to Saturday, I'm posting a new video each day with a 6-mark question, so you can practice how to answer them. You can find a link in the description below to each week's questions, and also you can access all the previous videos via the playlist. Today's question is about smoking and why it's bad for your health. Now that may sound really straightforward and like something you should be able to easily get 6 marks on, but remember these questions are level marked. So that means that you're going to need to make links. It's not just enough to give the examiner 6 true facts. You need to think about what are the specific health problems that are caused by smoking, and then why does smoking relate to that? Why is it that a smoker is more likely to suffer from that health problem? Then you also need to think about weak links versus strong links. So usually the way it works is that for one of these questions for level 1, you're just stating facts. For level 2, you're making weak links, and for level 3, you're making strong links. So a strong link could be something where you have multiple points relating to the same initial health problem, or it might just be that it's quite a complicated point and you've articulated it quite well. But basically you need to be making sure that your answer joins up and that it's not just a list of 6 different facts that relate to smoking. If you haven't done so already, pause the video now and give yourself 6 minutes to answer this 6-mark question. Really, there are 4 key health issues that you want to be discussing when you're talking about the impact of smoking on your health. The first one, the one that everyone is obviously going to go for, is lung cancer. So you have a much higher chance of getting lung cancer if you are a cigarette smoker. But it's not just lung cancer, also smoking causes other respiratory diseases. So you might want to talk about emphysema or COPD. Also, smoking increases your risk of cardiovascular disease like heart attacks and strokes. And then finally, just on a day-by-day basis, even if you're not seriously ill, it's going to cause shortness of breath. Our next step is to think about why smoking causes each of those things, or why it makes it more likely that you would suffer from them. So in terms of the lung cancer, if you smoke, then you're more likely to have mutations in your DNA. And the reason for that is that cigarette smoke contains carcinogens, in other words, chemicals that are more likely to cause your DNA to mutate. And if that mutation does happen, this very often leads to uncontrolled cell growth, like tumours. Then in terms of those other respiratory diseases, we're worried about the tar and the nicotine in the cigarette smoke, because those are going to irritate your lungs and damage the alveoli. Now, if those alveoli become damaged, then they have a reduced surface area because they lose that really folded cloud-like shape, and that's going to have an impact on your health. Also, the tar and nicotine can damage the cilia, those little hair-like structures that are sort of pushing the mucus past your goblet cells. And your goblet cells are going to release more mucus as a result. And that's what's going to lead to that nasty smoker's cough, where you've got lots of mucus on your chest and you just can't get rid of it because your goblet cells are making more mucus and the cilia aren't moving it out of the way. There's also just a generally increased risk of infections because the point of that mucus is to trap any pathogens and make sure that they're not hanging around in your body. So if that system is going wrong, you're more likely to have long-term bronchitis or that kind of thing. Then in terms of the cardiovascular disease, smoking is going to increase your risk of having high blood pressure, and it's also going to increase the risk of you having blood clots. And both of those things are going to lead to the potential for heart attacks and stroke. Also, your artery walls gradually thicken over time, which is also not great for your cardiovascular health. And then in terms of the shortness of breath, well, we've already mentioned the alveoli being damaged and having a smaller surface area. So if each alveolus is absorbing slightly less oxygen, then overall you're going to have less oxygen going into your blood and you're going to feel like you need to be breathing harder. But also that cigarette smoke contains carbon monoxide. And as we know, carbon monoxide is toxic. And the reason it's toxic is that it binds to your hemoglobin. And therefore, as a result, your red blood cells can't carry the oxygen because the hemoglobin is already locked up with that carbon monoxide. This 6-mark question is going to be one of the level marked questions that is common to the foundation tier and the higher tier. So it's aimed at about grade 5, and we don't need to say absolutely everything that is now on this slide in order to get those 6 marks. In fact, we actually need to say comparatively little of it. So the way this is going to work is that for a level 1 answer, which gets 1 or 2 marks, we're probably just going to be naming health problems. For level 2, we need to be making some links. So a weak link is enough to get into level 2 and get 3 marks or 4 marks. And that could be something like just saying, smoking causes other respiratory diseases because the tar irritates the lungs. That's quite a basic, simplistic thing, but I have made that link there. So that would get me into level 2. Now to get into level 3, we're going to want multiple links. So if it's a really, really good link, we might get away with only having 2, but ideally you want to be aiming for 3. And they need to be strong links. So that either means that you've explained something quite complicated really, really well, or it could mean that you've included multiple things that are sort of in the same little part. So for instance, if I said, smoking increases your chance of getting lung cancer because there are carcinogens in the cigarettes and those carcinogens cause mutations in the DNA, that would be a really strong link. And if I had 2 links that were that strong, that would get me into those level 3 marks, the 5 or the 6 marks. Tomorrow we're back with chemistry paper 1, and this time it's unit 3, the quantitative chemistry unit. Don't forget there's a link in the description below to all of the questions for this week's videos, and you can find all the rest of the videos in a playlist as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 14 of the 6 mark challenge. If you found this video useful, then don't forget to like and subscribe for more GCSE Science revision videos coming soon.